is it's as much work as a single family home and takes more time.
Sometimes, yes.
Yeah.
You got it. So let me know when you want to proceed.
Okay, let's do this.
Still letting a few people in, Jennifer, just so you know.
You
There's a
are
lot
good
of
to
Brad
go,
Fishers
Reba.
coming in. We got a lot of Brad Fishers coming in.
Thank you, Jennifer. Welcome everybody to our mobile home, AKA manufactured housing. I don't know how many of you know this, but a few years ago, it was not quite etiquette to call it a mobile home. People kind of got upset with that. So they started using manufactured housing. So they're the same thing. So if you hear someone say manufactured housing, it's a mobile home. The questions that are going to arise and what you should be asking at the very beginning is it in a park or is it on land? Okay, there are two types of transactions with the mobile home. It can be real property or it can be personal property. If it's in a park, 99% of the time it is personal property. There are some parks along the coast where they do own the land underneath them, but those are very rare and those are basically kept on the coast. If it's on real property, then you've got to find out if a 433A was recorded on it. That is the requirement for the HCD and the county to say that this manufactured home, mobile home is now a permanent foundation. Everybody follow so far? Okay. Going on, when you have a 433A, it will show up in the preliminary title report. A lot of people think that when they purchase their property and there's a mobile home on it, that, oh, it's a fixed. Not necessarily. Sometimes it will not have the 433A recorded because the county has not come out and done the inspections. The 433A has to be sent to HCD, who will then transfer the mobile home to permanent foundation status. So when you go into HCD to the title search, it will have in the section transferred to permanent foundation. Does it have to be on a foundation? If it's going to be real property, yes, it does. And it's got to have the 433A recorded to it.
So Reba, we got the question, is the home then considered a single family home if it has that 433A on real property?
Yes, it is considered real property and it does not require a separate escrow. It will go just like a brick and mortar home or a stick built home. It is all combined as one. Yes, all 433As are recorded. It's the only way that HCD will accept them. If they are not recorded, then they're not effective. HCD will not accept it and transfer it. County specific, is a 433A county specific or is statewide form? It is county specific. HCD provides a form, the county will record it where the property is located at. And then
So Reba, that way it'll look the same, but you just record it in the county where the property is.
Correct. The forms are all the same. It's just one statewide form from HCD and recorded in the county of where the property is at. Okay, next one. Let's see, escrow process for personal property. Okay, for those that are not on permanent foundation with the 433A recorded or in a mobile home park, these are now considered personal property. So with these, it's not like your regular real property where you have the 1099, the 593, where you have the items that you need to get for these are the county tax clearance. And the county usually takes 21 days. Right now, they're taking a little bit longer. You can use the car manufactured the car manufactured home purchase agreement. That will give us all the information. When you do send it to us, send us a copy of the certificate of title. The homeowner should have that, and that gives us all the information that we need to contact HCD and get a title search. When you have a mobile home that is considered personal property, you are not getting a preliminary title report. What you get instead is called an HCD title, certificate of title or title report. And that will tell us who currently owns it, if there are any liens out there, and what type of mobile home it is. There are two types. Oh, let me back up. There is no title insurance provided, okay, for the mobile home. It's not like you get an owner's policy with it. What they get is a certificate of title from HCD. And that's what they will receive that shows that they have title. Consider it like your car. You get the certificate of title from the DMV. Well, this comes from the HCD. They will also get a registration card. There is a $35 fee for the title search with HCD that is non-refundable. HCD charges this to us. Therefore, we've got to charge it back.
Brad had a question about how we order it.
The way that we order it is we go into the HCD website and order it, or you as an agent can contact HCD and order it from them. Again, they will charge you the $35. If a mobile home goes longer, let's say for instance, it falls out of escrow and it goes longer, we may have to request another HCD title search because they're only good for, I believe, 120 days. So normally we like to close them within 30 days. Again, you can, even with the cash sale, you cannot close a mobile home quicker than that because we have to wait for the county tax clearance. So how do you know that you have to have a county tax clearance? When you look on your certificate of title, the decal number will start with an L or an A. If it starts with an L, then you're going to need a county tax clearance from the county. Again, right now, Fresno County especially is taking almost 4 weeks. They're supposed to be around 21 days, but with COVID and the restrictions that are in place, they're taking quite a while. If let's see, if it doesn't go through escrow, then what is it called? Okay, if what doesn't go through escrow?
Well, I thought you said when it was personal property, it doesn't, escrow is not required. I wrote
No,
it down.
it's not required. You do not have to have escrow. If you are comfortable with it and can complete the forms and get it transferred, you can do it outside of escrow. But a lot of people don't like dealing with HCD because there's a lot of mistakes on those forms and it goes back and forth, back and forth.
So it can go through escrow.
Yeah.
Okay, I
A personal
misunderstood.
property
I thought you
can go
said
through
it.
escrow, but it is not required.
Got it.
And it's not, it's a different process than the real property process. So it can get confusing sometimes on the different things that are being asked for. We do have a question. What do you do if there is an old lien and you can't get clearance on it?
How many have heard of lost note bonds? HCD, if we can't find how to get that lien cleared off, there is a bond that you can get and HCD will accept. They're few and far between. So each time that I've had to deal with it, which is 3 times, I've had to call and get the specific name. And then the people go to the an insurance carrier and get the bond for it.
Paul has a question too, Reba.
Okay.
Go ahead, Paul.
We don't know how much the original lien was.
So real quick,
Go ahead.
my question was going back to title insurance. If the manufactured home is, say, either on real property, regardless if it's in the county or if it's on land or if it's in like a lot in a subdivision, can you get title insurance policy for that.
If the mobile home has a 433A recorded on it, then it's considered real property and you will get an owner's policy on it. Yes.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Okay. So going back to how you can tell taxes, if we have an A on the decal, the number starts with an A, that means it hasn't been converted over to county property tax. So therefore you can get resale. We have to contact HCD. They look at their NADA guide and we have to get what it's based on and they pay sales tax on that. So again, it just depends on what the decal is. Okay, next. Okay, if you're in a park, the mobile home is in a park, you're going to need approval from that park. I have found it's best before you even put it into escrow to make sure that the park is going to accept your buyer. Little side note, I had one escrow that went through 5 buyers before the park would approve the buyer. And every time the agent kept putting it into escrow, I got another one. They go to the process, they get rejected. So it's best if you know the park and you have a good working relationship with them, you get the buyer pre-approved. If you don't know the park, definitely get the buyer pre-approved. Find out from the park. Go ahead.
Why would they not pre-approve a buyer? Because of financial means?
Most of it's financial means. There are some parks that have age limits and they have requirements for pets. So again, your buyer may not know, hey, this looks really good and I want to go here, but they won't allow, you know, a big dog. Well, they had a German Shepherd. The next one on the escrow, 2 of them couldn't do it financially. They did not get approved financially. The third one was, or the fourth one was too young. Finally, the 5th buyer came in. So when you have one that's in a park, find out from that park what their requirements are and make sure your buyer falls in those requirements and get them pre-approved. Once they're pre-approved, open up escrow. We can send out the required letters asking for the approval and the demand. And we usually get it within like 3 to 5 days. The longest thing that we wait for on these is the county tax clearance. If we have to wait for the HCD to issue their resale for the sales tax, that's usually about 14 days. They're usually a little faster than the county. Okay, what if the seller of record is deceased? This is a lot easier than real property. All we need is a certified death certificate and who's handling the estate. There is a form that is called probate, certificate of transfer without probate. Again, you have to wait till 40 days have passed before they can sell the property. They can't sell it right after the person's deceased. Let's talk closing. Everybody wants to hear the closing. Okay. Unlike real property, there is nothing to record here. Okay, there is no recording. So the thing that we wait on is the county tax clearance, the funds. If everybody signs the documents and the funds are brought in with a cashier's check on one day, we can close the file the very next day. Does that mean that the buyers will get their certificate of title and registration card? No. HCD will take anywhere from 4 to 6 months to transfer. And that's if everything is done correctly and they have no questions in regards to any of the forms. Okay, it says here we have 20 business days from closing to submit. HCD has started penalizing when there's a delay. So that is why escrow will not close until we get that county tax clearance, because there are penalties that are applied to us when we don't send that package in within that 20 days. So I know that I've had agents push, and a couple of the other escrow officers here have had agents push. Well, let's just close it in 10 and then you can send it off afterwards. Well, if it's taking 4 to 6 weeks to get the county tax clearance, we're past our 20 days. And now we have a penalty to pay. So we will not close a file until we have that county tax clearance. County tax on both in park and not. If it is considered personal property, then yes, a county tax clearance is needed if it's on land or in the park. If the mobile home is on land and it's got a 433A recorded against it, then there is no county tax clearance need. We run regular county property taxes.
Reba, what if another tax assessment date comes and goes and the transfer hasn't been completed, and so the seller still gets a tax bill?
Okay, normally what will happen is if we're close to that time where the county taxes are being reissued again, the county tax collector will also include an estimated amount for the next year's taxes because they want that money sitting in their account for the next year. So if we notice that it's overdue or it's not in the time, we'll request another county tax clearance. And normally we'll just get a hold of the county tax collector by phone, which is not an easy task. And just ask them, okay, we've got this one. We know that you just issued another one, a county tax bill. Can you update our clearance? Because we'll need the new amounts.
Okay, great. And what types of things get returned to us for correction that we need that power of attorney for?
I have had where the buyer did not sign his name in full. He only put his first name on, and I didn't catch that he didn't sign his last name. There was a mistake made on one of the forms, and we had to do a statement of correction and eraser. Let's see what else. I don't have a lot of them returned. I've only had a few returned, and basically those are dealership ones because the dealership completed what we call the dealer's report of sale, and they had the information wrong on it. So I on normal ones that you guys would deal with, I normally don't have very many of those returned.
Okay, we have a couple of questions.
Okay.
Can the seller walk into a tax collector's office and obtain a tax clearance letter themselves by walking in?
Prior to COVID, yes, they could, as long as they paid the taxes. Once COVID hit, just like everybody else, doors are shut. A lot of the county tax people, the ones that are not working in the office, are working from home.
Are a lot of HCD employees working from home from what you can tell as well, or do they seem like they're in office?
It's about 50-50. There is a group in the office, but there are also some that are working from home.
And then we have another question. Are manufacturers still putting a placard on each section of the mobile home with an HCD number, double wide equals 2 placards, etc.? Do you know anything about
That's
that?
a requirement. That's a requirement for every manufactured or mobile home. It's got to have those HUD labels on it. So if your owner cannot find his certificate of title or his registration card, he could go get the information off of the mobile home itself and give that information to you. And then we have separate forms that the seller will sign, which is called duplicate certificate of title and duplicate registration forms. And those forms are $25 a piece that HCD charges. So we can get by without that. If I've had an owner who could not find any of the labels in the normal places. Normally I'll call HCD, get a hold of somebody, give them the property address, and they'll be able to get me the decal number, and then I can pull the title. So if they can find the home and it's been registered on the property, then I can usually find it through HCD. If HCD doesn't have it, then that means it's either fallen off registration or it was never registered properly. Let's see. Okay, so basically these are our fees. Our fees are $9.50 for an escrow. That includes getting all the HCD documents. If you have a loan, let's say the buyer qualifies for a loan, Murphy Bank, 21st Mortgage, they do mobile home loans. Then there's another $340 added to that for the loan process. Then the HCD title search, the $35 goes directly to HCD. Then we have an estimate of $250. This is the amount that I use to send because inevitably I'll say, okay, these are the forms we need. HCD may come back and say, no, I need this form, or I need this correction, or you quoted the amount. It's very hard to go back to the seller and or buyer to ask for more money. So I'd rather have them take their fees out, which normally run around 130, maybe 140 bucks, depending on if it's a single wide or a double wide, and then refund the difference. So the $250 fee for the HCD transfer charges, that's an estimated amount that we use to ensure we have enough money going to HCD so that they don't delay the process. We will also collect park fees based on their demand. Some parks only want the transfer fee and they'll collect the rent themselves. Some want the rent. So it just depends on what their demand calls for. Let's see, once it has been recorded as being on a foundation is now real property. Is there any need to what?
Keep the placards on a mobile, to keep those
Yes.
identifying
Yes.
tax things.
Yes, you cannot remove those because every lender after that will need to have that registration because they'll want a title search to make sure that it's been moved to permanent foundation. And if you don't have those placards on there, then it's very difficult to find what that home is. And if HCD has it, means I just have to call, wait on the line for someone to answer and then get my question answered. So yeah, keep those placards on the homes. Okay, cost of payoffs, oops.
Oops.
Okay.
I don't know how to go back. Let me try.
Okay, so the last one was cost of payoffs. If there is a lien on the mobile home and it needs to get removed, we will request a demand once the owner of the home gives us the information. Just like in real property, we'll request a demand. There is a form that goes to the lender, the payoff lender is called a conditional lien of release that they have to sign. And that tells us that, or HCD, that they have been paid and they agree to release the lien because they have the original certificate of title. So that is one thing I didn't mention at the beginning. If you have a loan on your mobile home and the owner does not have the original certificate of title, that's because his mortgage lender does. The owner will have the registration card, but they may not have the original certificate of title. Okay, one more thing. The mobile home is moved. It is the owner's responsibility to notify HCD. Yes, it is. I am dealing now with a couple of homes. The seller bought them from one place and moved them to another place. And we're notifying HCD with the sale of each one that it's been moved. And again, that's another HCD form that needs to be completed and it costs money. But if they move it on their own without going through escrow, then they need to notify HCD. Does any of this apply to a tiny home? Well, again, tiny homes are what? Are they
manufactured homes?
Correct. And if there's not a 433A recorded on it, then it's not considered real property, and then it will follow the same thing. Thank you. They were transparent, so I couldn't see them. Now I know. Oh.
That's me on the advice I got on PowerPoint moving.
Okay.
And so what if somebody brings in a mobile home from another state, Reba?
I haven't done that one, so I would have to call HCD and ask them. I honestly do not know. That's a good question. I've had them move from San Diego to Fresno, from Fresno to Monterey in state, but I've not done one that has been from out of state. So I would have to call HCD and ask.
Why would they move to California now?
Well, you know.
Seriously, other than the ocean and the beautiful weather, we don't want them. Sorry.
Okay, John Porter, cost of a 433A. That depends on your engineer. It depends on your builder, and it depends on what the county is charging for the permits. So roughly, I have seen the cost for 433As run from 1,500 to 4,000. So it's all based on all those people, because all those people have to get in there and do whatever is required to get it. So the county passes the inspection. How about the permit only? When I get the bill to pay, I don't see, it's all, the dealerships are the only ones that I get for the 433A, because the sellers are the ones that do it on their own. And that's all I see on the dealerships is a flat total what it costs. I would imagine permits run probably anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500, depending on the county.
Reba, what most often goes wrong in a mobile home transaction that people haven't anticipated?
The biggest problem that we see is when you have real property and there's a mobile home on it, and the real property has changed hands, the mobile home has not changed hands. The transfer was never completed or never done. And so trying to track down the prior owners is a long, hard process. And everybody thinks that that's Escrow's job. We are glad to help, but that is not our job. We rely on the homeowner to help, the agents to help track down. Again, we can only go so far with the real property. Normally the mobile home follows the real property. So if we can find a chain as to who owned the property beforehand, normally we can backtrack it.
So Lorna says if the owner has attached a stick-built patio cover or addition, and if it's an FHA loan, an engineer will have to go out, inspect it, $600 for an inspection.
That's not bad. But
Yeah,
that's
that
usually
sounds-
a patio. That's not the 433A.
Okay.
Okay, pause this one. Okay, anybody else?
Yeah, so at this point, we'll open it up. If you wanted to unmute yourself and ask a question, you're welcome to do that.
Oh, very good. That's a cheap price. Lorna just said in this case, it was a 433A for 600. That's a good price.
Reba, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually have, I'm in contract with a purchase, new construction mobile home in a park. So the delay we're having right now is we don't have, it's brand new, so never sold before.
Okay.
Manufacturer, Millennium, needs to sell it to the contractor, and then the contractor can then pass title on, and we're stuck with HCD giving us some documentation. And I don't know exactly what that is, so any insight you can provide would be helpful. But the problem is the delay from HCD.
That is correct.
And it's been like over a month and a half. I'm going on 2, maybe even more. Any suggestions on how to speed that up?
He's going to work.
If the forms have already been sent to HCD, there is no way to speed it up. If I had known, if it were me as an escrow officer and known, I would have had it all come to escrow and then do it simultaneously. So all at one time. Yeah, as of right now, you're at the mercy of HCD. Anybody else? Let's see. You're welcome.
All right. Well, if there aren't any further questions, that was kind of a quick and information-packed coverage of this specialty type of escrow. It looks like we did successfully record our meeting today. So once that's processed and posted to our YouTube channel, you'll get a link with that as well as these slides for future reference. And I've just put up your Chicago Title sales team reference for everyone. And in case you have additional questions, you're also welcome to reach out to Reba and go from there. So that's going to conclude our class unless anyone on my team had something to add.
I just had a question again. What was the website on YouTube?
Oh, Chicago Title Fresno.
But you'll get it, Nancy. You'll get it in
You'll
an
get it.
email.
But yeah, if you've ever missed a class and want to check on that YouTube channel to see if it's there, we've posted most of the classes there for everyone to review.
Again,
Don't
feel
forget-
free to call me if you have any questions. It's nice
My advice
talking
is
with
never
everyone.
write a 10-day escrow, right, Reba?
I'm
Never
sorry,
write a
what?
10-day cash escrow. I said never write a
No.
10-day cash escrow.
No, 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 never, never, never. You know, don't even promise your people. If you
Then
can, if
escrow
you
you
can
would
tell your
write.
people 30 days, we're doing good. No, 11 days will not work, Jose. Yeah, nope. Wrong escrow officer, won't do. Okay.